Oh! Oh my goodness. Something's going on with the Ustream. Anyway, we'll keep going. We'll see if it happens. So Karp studied lots of babies, and he found that colic usually starts about 2 weeks in a baby's life, and then goes to about 3 months. Peaks at about 6 weeks. And essentially the baby will scream, 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 scream. And he said if this is related to gas, this screaming, this crying is related to gas, then shouldn't gas start at about 2 weeks, end at about 3 months, and peak at about 6 weeks? Wouldn't that make sense? Scientifically, wouldn't that make sense? But he said gas starts almost immediately. Almost from the time that the kid has his first meconium superfood, colostrum, colostrum, which makes meconium. We talked about that last week. Colostrum is the superfood. Almost immediately when the child starts with the colostrum, starts having gas. The gas doesn't end at 3 months. The gas is still there at 4 months. Gas is still there at 6 months. Gas is still there at 41 years of age. I know from experience. So it's really not the gas pressure that's causing the colic, the crying. What is it? Maybe it's the acid reflux, because babies have a lot of acid reflux. He said that's not it either, because think about this. We can treat the acid reflux, and we can have lots of reduction in the acid in the stomach, in the reflux. We can almost solve the reflux problem, but the crying problem still persists. What's going on here then? So it's not acid reflux. It's not gas. A baby will poop and still continue to cry. So it's not, I need to poop. It just pooped. What is it? Maybe the old people were on to something when they said it might be brain immaturity. Now, Dr. Karp says this. Before I tell you that, some cultures are colic-free. Some cultures don't have the normal baby screaming for 3 hours at night. Some cultures, the babies go to sleep and quiet after about a minute of soothing. I want to go to these cultures. I want to go to these places and see what their secret is. But that's another story. Dr. Karp said, think about this. The human baby has a huge head. Big head, big brain. So it comes out early. A horse or a deer or a lot of other animals, when they come out, they're pretty much cooked and ready to jump up and run around. A horse can walk on its first day. A little baby colt or calf can walk first day it's born. Baby human can't do that. Got a big head, big brain. The little kid should really stay in the womb another whole trimester, another 3 months, in order to be really ready to come out. And so our bodies have essentially designed for the last trimester, the third trimester in a pregnancy, our bodies have designed a way to keep this little kid stimulated in the womb. You think about what it's like for a little baby in the womb for the third trimester. It's essentially kids surrounded by water. So there's a lot of gurgling going on. It's being jiggled around because mom's up and down, being jiggled around, walking, driving, going to work, going to eat ice cream, going to get hamburgers, jiggle around. And there is this whooshing sound, constant whooshing sound, with the blood it's going all around in the placenta and the uterus, and it's being massaged. The kid's being massaged by the uterine wall. And then there's a big freaking pump right above his head. The heart's pumping blood. So it's really kind of a cacophony of stuff happening in the womb that the baby hears during the third trimester. It's loud, man, but it produces this trance-like state for the child in the womb so that he doesn't move around and kick a lot. Just because if he moves around a lot, he might get the cord all kinked, and that has problems. So our body is designed this way to put the kid in a trance. And if he also moved around a lot, it'd be hard for mom because she'd be having all this kid walking around in the womb, and that would hurt, and that'd be bad. So our body is designed all these things to stimulate the baby's big brain from the final trimester to keep him kind of in a trance-like state, to keep him calm. But now the baby comes out into the brand new world, and that's all gone. And we like to keep it very quiet for our children. We like to say, shh, turn down the lights. don't be so loud. Baby's sleeping. And that's BS. Baby sleeping is BS. Because, sleeping like a baby. Sleeping like a drunk college student. That's what I'd like to sleep like. Not like a baby. Because sleeping like a baby is just not very much sleep. So anyway, what Dr. Karp says is the babies cry and scream, have this colic, because they're actually, during the early part of their lives, the first 3 months of life, they need more stimulation, not less. The stuff that they're getting in the womb in order to keep them calm during the 3rd trimester of pregnancy, they still need that during the first month of life. Their brain wants it. And they cry because they don't have that. Because they've been born too early. But they had to be born too early because they get such big freaking heads. So he says, maybe it is brain immaturity. Or maybe not brain immaturity, but more of they need to have that trance-like state around them, or they need to have that environment around them to produce the trance-like state such that they can just chill out for another 3 months. Thus, brings us to the 5 S's. What Dr. Karp says, the 5 S's. We need to lull our babies into this trance-like state, and we do interesting things. The 5 S's. Swallow them. So we swallow them. Tie up their arms so they feel comfortable. Number 1 S, swallow. Number 2 S, side and stomach. Now we know that it's safer for a baby to sleep on its back. But as far as soothing a baby, the back is a terrible place for it. That's why when you hold them in your arm like a football, you can put them on their side or on their stomach in their arm and cradle their head and hold their head, support their head. That's much like the position that they are in the womb. They don't lay on their back in the womb. I mean, mom stands straight up. Here's the baby. Not on his back. That'd be crazy. It's kind of on his side. Swaddle, side. And the white noise, the shush, shh, 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 shh. That's kind of like the blood rushing all around. That is creating the state of the blood rushing around. And then the swinging, they want to be swung. That's kind of like the jiggling that they get all the time when they're in mommy's tummy. Mommy's up and down, jiggling all around. Pretty crazy. And then the sucking with the pacifier, the 5th S, that helps them calm themselves. Babies will suck their thumb in the womb, in utero. It's amazing. Amazing. So, Dr. Karp says the old folks back in the 19th century had it right, most likely. Still a medical mystery. There's no proof that that's what's going on. There's no proof that my baby's not screaming at 3 a.m. because he has a stomach ache. But it bears to investigate. It bears to investigate. The 5 S's. So I'm going to start doing the 5 S's in order to keep my baby very calm at night during this colicky period so we can get some sleep. So that is kind of the etymological as well as a deeper look into colic. Oh, the old people back in the 19th century also said what you should do for a colicky baby is doth put cotton in the ears and gin in the stomach. Put on some earplugs and get drunk, and then you won't be worried about it as much. So that's my take on colic. It's a recession going on. Everybody knows it, feeling the pinch, the monetary pinch. But I have a money-saving tip for you if you have a young baby at home. Now, everybody knows what a receiving blanket is. We just talked about swaddling. You need to swaddle your babies in the receiving blankets so that they feel like they're in the womb. Well, these blankets are very expensive, and you go through lots of them because babies spit up on them and poop on them, so you need to have a lot of them handy. And they need to be right size so you can easily swaddle them. Well, here's the deal. In Texas, it's very hot in the summertime, so we have to have blankets that are light and breathable. Muslin is the perfect material for this, but muslin is expensive. A muslin receiving blanket costs about $15 each. $15 each. If you want to have 5 or 6 of those, man, you're talking big money. That is expensive. But there is an alternative that we found. My mother-in-law introduced us to these just 16 days ago. She got a flour sack dishcloth. You can get them at Walmart or Target or any other stores that sell kitchen supplies and utensils. A flour sack, oversized dishcloth is a perfect swaddling blanket, a perfect receiving blanket. And you know how much it costs? It costs $1 a piece. And it's very light, very airy, and very breathable. And it'll save you a lot of money. And it is a great thing to get for your baby. That's what we've got. We've got 6 or 7 of them, $7 or $8. You know, no big deal. If we had that many muslin blankets, it would cost, well up into the 40s, 50s. Crazy, just crazy. Okay, so muslin blankets, too expensive unless you've got tons of money. If money's not an issue, no problem. Get the muslin, they're great. But if you want to go cheaper, and they're just as good, they're very soft. They get softer as you wash them. Soft as you wash them. Flour sack. Flour sack. Dish towels. That's what you need. You know what? Back during the Depression, and we're not in the Depression yet, and I'm not going to say we're going to get into the Depression. Thank goodness. There's a recession. It's going to end soon. The stimulus is going to take a hold, and we're going to be flying high again. I'm still waiting for my stimulus. I haven't seen my stimulus. I'm unstimulated. Kind of like a baby. That's why I'm crying, because I'm not stimulated enough. I need to be stimulated. Come on, President. Stimulate. Bring my stimulus to me. Anyway, back during the Depression, people used to take flour sacks, the actual cotton flour sacks, and make underwear out of them. Yeah, that's a good use. You get flour, because they used to be made out of cotton, woven cotton, and you'd make biscuits, and then instead of throwing the flour sack away, you'd make a pair of underwear. Huh. Good reuse. Now, you couldn't do that today because the flour sacks are made out of plastic or paper, and nobody wants to wear paper underwear or plastic underwear. I have seen some plastic underwear that's at some of those weird fetish stores, but that's another story. So, that's my recession tip of the day. As I said, the baby's here, and it's interesting that sometimes when a baby comes to a home that has children, has older siblings, sometimes the older siblings' behavior regresses a little bit. And this is the case in my home. We brought our new little boy home. He's here. And we're actually, the whole family is regressing. My wife is regressing physically back to her pre-pregnancy body, which is good. So physical regression. My son Walker, oldest child, he's doing fine with his new little brother. He's having a good time holding him and helping out. And he is regressing a little bit in that he likes the me time. He's very, 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 very competitive with the time. Most of the time, one-on-one time with me and Mom, which is understandable, And he's kind of pushing the envelope every once in a while behaviorally, which is normal and understandable. Our 3-year-old daughter, doing fine as well, but she's regressing a little bit. She's very clingy now at bedtime. Hard for her to go to sleep by herself. Before the baby came, she was a fine sleeper. But now she's clingy at bedtime and having a few potty training accidents. She was completely potty trained, still sleeps with a pull-up at night, but having a few potty training accidents during the day that seemed to be purposeful. So a little regression there. My dog Camp, our good dog Camp, he's around here somewhere. Let me see if I can find him. I don't see. Anyway, he's regressed a bit. He is regressing in his potty training as well. Every once in a while, he'll leave me a little present at the front door at night. Just a little reminder that, hey, buddy, I'm here too, and I don't wear diapers. So, got to have a little camp time. Got to have a little special one-on-one camp time. Not bad, nothing bad. But all these stories of regression in my household got me thinking, am I regressing too? And it's hard to know, because it's hard to know if you're regressing, if you're you. The regressor can't really determine whether or not they are regressing. It's hard to kind of step back from yourself and see, are you regressing? So I asked my wife, I said, am I regressing? Has bringing this baby home put me into some kind of regression behavior? And she said, absolutely. Absolutely. She says, you have regressed back to a 7th grader. you are pretty much behaving like you did when you were in 7th grade. I was like, what? What are you talking about? She said 3 things. Number 1, you are enamored with and make silly comments about my boobs. I was like, yeah, they're huge. Breastfeeding boobs are big. Yeah. Doesn't every guy? She said 7th grade guys do. Okay. She said, number 2, you are very, very covetous of your alone time. I said, huh? She goes, just your time, which is essentially bathroom time. I got to go to the bathroom. Like, take a book, right? It's my time. Nobody's going to bother me. 30, 45 minutes, hour. It's a good time. Point taken, she said. Number 3, your diet. I made a meal the other day. The first meal I really had to because we've had lots of people coming in and giving us food and things like that. But I made a meal the other day for us, and it was chili dogs. Oh, man, it was so good. She said, you eat like a 7th grader. And I've thought about it, and you know what? I do. I have regressed to 7th grade. Hopefully I'll get over it soon. And I know I will, because, you know, just like the crying at night, just like the hard sleepless nights, babies grow. I'll get out of middle school and, return to the old man that I am. So, regressive. I've regressed a little bit. Have you heard of this deal that when you first get married, they say, and I didn't do this. Should have, but I didn't. When you first get married, for the whole first year of married life, if you put a penny in a jar every time you had sex with your sweetie, every time you have sex with the sweetie, the first year of married life, you put a penny in the jar, and then from the 2nd year on, you take a penny out of the jar every time you have sex for the rest of your married life. They say, stick with me, they say that you'll never empty the jar. I mean, I hope not. But that's what they say. I didn't do it. I didn't want to test fate, So I wonder if you did the same thing but with lost sleep with an infant child. If you put a penny in the jar for every hour of sleep that you lose with an infant, and then once he gets older, we'll even say a year, or even 3 months, you take a penny out for every extra hour of sleep you get in your life, will you ever empty the jar? No. Correlation. Very interesting to me. Just kind of thought about that. Okay. Some interesting things going on in the news. There was a Washington Post article the other day, and they did an experiment. And I think this talks a lot about kind of our society and some troubles that we as adults have and some things that we can learn from children. Now, on a cold January morning back in 2007, there was a gentleman with a violin who went down into the metro station in Washington, D.C. during morning rush hour. Everyone's going to work, and he started playing the violin. 2,000 people walking by. Now, this gentleman played for an hour. And it took 3 minutes before anyone even kind of noticed him. He's sitting there playing the violin beautifully. And took 3 minutes before anybody noticed. And at that point, it was just one dude. He kind of slowed down, he looked, and then he went on. Didn't stop. Just noticed. A couple of seconds, just noticed. At 7 minutes, he's got his first dollar. This lady's walking by. Didn't break pace, just took $1 out of her pocket and threw it in his cup. Didn't stop. Did give him $1. At 14 minutes, the first person stopped. 14 minutes of continuous violin playing. It was good violin playing. Fiddle playing, I like to call it. Was the first time that someone stopped. And this dude listened for a couple of minutes. And then he, too, went on his merry way. It wasn't until 24 minutes that the toddler, 3-year-old kid about, stopped and was really digging what was going on, was enjoying the music. And his mother shushed him away, pushed him away, and as he was pushed away by his mother quickly, he kept looking around, looking back at the dude playing violin. And over the next 10, 15 minutes, 4 or 5 more children did the same thing. And every time the child would stop, the mother or father would push them away. Come on, we don't have time for that nonsense. Don't have time for that nonsense. This dude played for a full hour straight, continuous play. Including the children that stopped, only 6 people out of 2,000 over an hour stopped, and most of those people stopped to listen for only a few seconds, too busy with whatever they were doing. He made $32, thrown into his cup. When he finished after the hour, he put his violin back in his case. There's no applause. Just back to silence. Nobody really noticed. And he walked on away. Now, it's very interesting because of who this guy was. Joshua Bell, one of the finest violin fiddle players in the world. He was playing one of the most complex fiddle/violin tunes ever composed, the Bach piece. Very sophisticated, unbelievably beautiful. And he was playing it lovingly, playing it well, rocking the house in the subway station. The violin that he was playing on was worth $3.5 million. The dude, Joshua Bell, had just sold out a huge theater in Boston 2 nights prior to this. $100 a ticket, several thousand seats. And yet nobody, except for the children, stopped. They were too busy with their daily lives, too busy to experience that kind of beauty. What is that all about? What does that say about our day-to-day? Maybe it's too fast. Are we missing out? If we miss that kind of beauty, what else are we missing out? The kids didn't miss out, though. The kids wanted to stop. The kids wanted to listen. So a lesson to adults, maybe we need to take a little cue from our kids and stop and smell the roses a little bit more. Listen to your kids. They might show you some really cool things, some beautiful things. Interesting. One more news story that I found interesting. It was in Fox News the other day. A study from the Journal of Psychology, Developmental Psychology in July said, you know what? 6-month-old infants, that's funny. That's not a George Bush thing. Strategery, the umbilical cord was last week. Infants is this week. 6-month-old infants can determine facial cues, tonal, verbal cues early on in their lives. They essentially found out that kids, little babies, they showed them pictures of a happy dog and a snarling dog, and then they gave them audio cues of a dog that was growling and was snarly, and then a dog that was happy, and the child could determine which picture went with which dog. So at 6 months of age, they already know that. They picked that up. And they said they probably know it in the womb. So I think it's very important for us to think about the way we talk to our children, the tone that we use, happy tones, mellow tones, whatever you want your child to get in and process, he's processing it. So whatever you're saying to your 6-month-old child or your 6-day-old child or your 6-month pregnant child in your wife's pregnant tummy, the kid is processing that. He's understanding at least the emotion behind that. So I'm going to do a better job of when I'm talking to my child, how will I talk to him? When I'm talking to my child is there, how am I going to talk to him? I'm not going to yell at the dog anymore. I don't want to frighten my child. Even though I'm not yelling at my child, I'm yelling at the dog. And my dog is so bad sometimes that I really need to yell a lot. So I'm not yelling anymore. But kids, young kids, they are experts in the understanding of our facial expressions and our verbal expressions. Very interesting. Well, That's it. 30 minutes. Going by. Shoo, going by. Coming up next week on DadLabs.com, a video about nutrition in pregnancy. Daddy Clay goes to the Whole Foods market, talks to a nutritionist. Some folks from Born Free, who are a very, very natural-oriented baby products company. Talks about nutrition and what to give the expecting mom, and then food-wise, and also how you should eat after a brand new baby is here while you're breastfeeding. So go to DadLabs.com and watch that next week. Got one more week of me, Daddy Clay and Daddy Troy. Daddy Owen will be back in August, and then we'll kind of crank up again the regular old DadLabs.com schedule. I'd like to thank Baby Bjorn, as always. Baby Bjorn, good sponsor. You know, my 16-month-old will sleep in the babysitter balance. Just will sleep. Wonderful. Because he gets to use his own motion. This is what it's like in the babysitter balance. But he'll sleep in the babysitter balance. No colic in the babysitter balance. Well, that's all. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.